Second to death and divorce, moving home is said to be one of the most stressful things we'll ever do.
Oh, I don't believe it.
And yet we're a nation obsessed with moving.
There's my house in there.
Although the emotional cost is high,
this is a nightmare.
the average Briton moves 7 times in their life.
I haven't got the foggiest idea which key I've got to use.
Time to bring in some experts.
You ready?
Yeah. We're rolling.
Kickfords, the largest removal firm in the country.
Wait, I man, get a move on.
Take me to my new home.
These lads have seen it all.
Let me put it this way, it's unusual.
You a bit more?
Done it all.
I call it a toe. These hands should play for Chelsea.
Every year, they shift a staggering 250,000 people across the UK and beyond. That's one every 3 minutes.
It's a mess, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a mess.
I just hope their house at the other end is big enough to take it all. It's going to have to be a big house.
This time, the crew go international
Where's the bloody Pyrenees then?
with a trip to France.
Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Vous déménagez ou qu'est-ce que vous faites?
English.
In Aberdeen, 2 valuable pianos baffle the boys. And the Southwest crew get to grips with an antique bed.
Got this end, mate.
It's got a few notches up and down the post.
In Norwich, Kate and Chris Coulson and children Tanner and India are preparing to relocate to the Pyrenees in France.
We've always been very much interested in travelling and living in different countries. And when we travelled together pre-children, we always said we would live in a different country with our children. Can you make little yoga circles with your fingers?
For yoga teacher Kate and steel fabricator Chris, it's a real plunge into the unknown.
If you think about it for a long time, you could almost talk yourself out of it.
We're going to treat every challenge as a learning experience.
Right, yeah, that's good.
They'll be quitting their jobs to pursue a dream of setting up a yoga retreat.
We are quite chilled out people. We're sort of fairly hippie, but we are probably the only hippies I know who've got a business plan.
Working on a tight budget, hands-on Chris is hoping building their yoga retreat himself shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Yeah, I've been in the construction industry for a while. Can turn my hand at anything, very into DIY.
Kate and Chris are moving 908 miles to the Pyrenees in France, where they've bought their house mortgage-free.
You've got the swimming pool and the views over the valley.
But the Coulsons are taking a big gamble. They've only seen their new French home fleetingly.
I can't actually remember that much about the property because we were only there for 20 minutes.
Well, it's a traditional French farmhouse. You either know or you don't when you walk through the door, and this had a really good feel about it.
Relocating abroad is expensive. To save money, Kate and Chris will be packing the entire contents of their 5-bedroom house themselves.
I have made enough boxes. I'm very glad I don't have to make any more boxes.
Self-packing customers account for 25% of all customers. This particular move will cost the Coulsons £4,742. Moving the Coulsons to France is team leader Lee, a second-generation removal man whose father was a foreman for Pickfords. Accompanying Lee is the meditative Dave, who's been at the company for 22 years. And rounding off the team is porter Tony. The company's removal estimators have visited the Coulsons and have allocated the crew one 18-ton truck and 145 boxes. But at At the Norwich depot, team leader Lee is worried whether one truck will be enough.
It's a 2,200 cubic foot van, and the removal we're about to go and do is 2,400 cubic foot. So obviously we're 200 cubic foot out one way or the other, we're not sure. We might be lucky and it'll be under. If we're unlucky, it isn't going to go on the vehicle.
But the boys are excited about a trip to France.
I've been to France a couple of times now.
Sure. I thought you'd been fluent.
Now you're going to ask...
That's what I got told.
You boys are going to ask me if I've learned any French, aren't you?
Well, of course we
Go
are.
on, Tom. Have you learned anything?
I mean, we're OK with the basics.
Yeah, well...
We're hoping for a little bit more from you.
Having assessed who can speak the lingo, it's time for the crew to measure whether the Coulsons' belongings will fit on the truck.
I'm Lee, by the way.
Hello, I'm Kate.
All right, I'm David.
Hi, David.
Hello.
What do you want to do first?
Have a good look around the house.
This is my precious dresser, which was my dad's dresser. So that really is the only valuable piece of furniture in the house. Everything else is just stuff. The dresser was in my family farmhouse home when I was growing up, and my dad very sadly passed away a few years ago, and that was my inheritance. We're kind of taking everything because we're moving to France where we have no jobs. Slightly fragile and the back's falling off. I don't really care much about looks, which is good that I've got you three on the job.
Oh, how rude!
No, don't go.
What do you mean? We're going, not just you.
I know, but I'd quite like you to stay to do some work.
Yeah, I won't do a lot, but I'll do some.
The estimator has accounted for the contents of the house, but a garden full of stuff and the DIY equipment Chris will take to France has been overlooked.
Oh, and there's lots of scaffolding.
Sorry?
Yes. We've got some scaffolding. So you've got a long ladder, all the scaffolding and the bike, and that bike, and the mountain board, yep.
We don't think there's going to be enough room.
It's not going to be an easy task at all.
Realising the truck space is at a premium, the crew use every trick in the book to fit the Coulsons' belongings on.
I've been wondering if that'll go inside the wardrobe. Dave, your judgment is just amazing. That's it, mate.
But the crew's hopes for a one-truck trip to France are fast being dashed. Big and awkward items like Chris and Kate's canoe are fast filling the truck.
Keep going, keep going. I think we're in. We've got too much stuff, and we're going to have to lose a man to go back to the yard to pick up another van, which is just going to take more time, and it's running late now.
Furthermore, underestimating the job is Pickford's responsibility. An extra truck to go to the Pyrenees and back could cost the company £3,000. Coming up, it's day 2 of the Coulsons' move to the south of France. The crew are struggling to fit the family's belongings onto their one allocated truck.
It looks to me like we're just going to get the house on it.
Yeah.
Without even thinking about the garden stuff.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But with so much to load, they're worried that losing a man to collect another truck would hold things up further. They've decided to press on, and attention's turned to the cherished French dresser Kate inherited from her father.
I don't know where the dresser will go, wherever it fits. I can't even remember if there's a room big enough, but I'm sure there will. And that will be for you to find out.
Ever-conscientious porter Tony will jump through hoops for his clients.
3. Yay! Look at that.
What a plonker.
With the house practically empty, the crew's one truck is virtually full.
We've got a lot more on than what we thought. You'll see still how much is left after filling this van. Not much space in it at all, to be honest. It's rammed.
And with the backyard filling with Chris's DIY kit, the crew are left with no option but to collect another truck.
So our worst fears have materialised. It definitely isn't going to go on the first truck, so I'm going to have to go back to the yard and get another vehicle.
Knowing that a second truck is now making the journey to the Pyrenees, Chris has asked if he can spare himself a 4-day trip and sneak his beloved motorbike onto the lorry.
Go up about that much, Bob.
So Lee is taking the opportunity to load a special motorcycle crate to safely pack Chris's bike.
Nice one.
But Lee's trip to the depot has cost the crew valuable time. There's still the Coulsons' garden belongings to load and, of course, now Chris's motorcycle.
Everyone's happy?
Yeah, it's time to end this era and start the next big adventure.
In France.
And with daylight fading, it looks like the crew have finished in the nick of time.
Come on.
Thanks, man. Thanks for all your hard work.
No worries.
It's been brilliant.
With 2 days of solid driving ahead, the crew head to Portsmouth Ferry Port for the crossing to France. And as they have to take 2 trucks, they've picked up old hand Gary, who gets the heads up from French aficionado Tony.
Main difference, countryside's completely different for a start. You get birds of prey in France, you don't get that in England.
all depends what town you go out in.
Yeah.
From the port, it's a 2-hour ferry crossing to Caen, where the crews will face a further 496-mile drive to the Pyrenees. The lads will rely on modern technology to get them safely through France.
Dave's got quite a good sat-nav there, which is always a bonus.
But Dave's sat-nav is having trouble adjusting to the French motorways.
Take the exit 13 towards Le Mans.
We shouldn't be coming off here.
No. It's be a boring job picking them.
What's she know? She's a woman.
He's lost. Bloody hope not.
Bloody hope not, yeah.
Yeah, well, things like this are just aggro. That's the price you pay for a sat-nav sometimes.
Having got lost, the drivers have now run out of their legal 8 driving hours. With no other option but to put the brakes on their journey, they'll now bed down for a night at a truck stop. Coming up...
Where's the bloody Pyrenees then?
In France, the boys' navigational issues continue.
Yeah.
And once again, Jem